Our video today is going to be on different operations that we can do with our polynomials. First, we're going to start by reviewing on how to put terms together, combining like terms. Remember, like terms are same variable, same exponent. I like to give everything its own little symbol. So those are our x's, our x squareds, and our constants. When you put your pieces together, you do want to go in standard form in descending order when possible. So we start with our x squared terms, a -4 and a +6, that's a +2x squared. And then our x's, 3 minus 12 gives us a -9x, 6 minus 9, -3. So that's something that we know how to do. And actually, that's all it is when we talk about adding polynomials and subtracting polynomials. So we have these polynomial equations and we know what it takes to make a polynomial equation. So we have a 4x squared minus 7x plus 3 polynomial, and we have a 6x cubed minus 3x plus 1 polynomial. To add polynomials together, literally all we do is add like terms. So I've got a cubed term, I've got an x squared term, we've got an x set, and we have constants. Starting with the highest exponent first, so that gives us 6x cubed plus 4x squared. Now we have some terms to put together. We've got a -7x and a -3x. That's a -10x. 3 plus 1, that makes 4. There we go. We added our polynomials together. Subtracting is the same thing. We have our cubic polynomial here, and we want to subtract this cubic. The only thing that's different about subtracting is I have to subtract each of these pieces, so I have to remember to distribute that negative. That's the only difference. I didn't change anything from my first polynomial, so I'm going to copy this down without making any changes. Then I distribute the negative, so that -5 becomes a +5x cubed. The +6 becomes a -6x squared. That becomes a -x, and that becomes a +10. Now we're back to where we were before, like terms. I've got a cubic set, a squared set, x's, and constants. So we put the largest exponent first, that's our cubic term. So 8 plus 5 is going to give me 13x cubed, a -9 and a -6, that's a -15x squared. 6 minus 1 for the x's is going to give us 5x. And then a -7 and a +10 is going to give us a 3 for our constant. Our next set of operations is multiplying. I know you have multiplied before, and multiplying is just distributing all of your pieces. You've also heard this called FOIL. So we multiply 2x times 5x, that gives us 10x squared. 2x times a -2, that's a -4x. And then we distribute the 3 to everything on the right. 3 times 5 is 15x. 3 times a -2 is a -6. This is where combining like terms comes back into play. So 10x squared plus 11x minus 6. Not too bad. That is when we have a binomial times a binomial. And the next one, we have a binomial times a trinomial. Now it's the same thing. It's the distributive property. So I'm going to take x, I'm going to distribute to everything to the right, just like we did when we had two sets of two terms. So x times 2x cubed, or x times 2x squared is 2x cubed. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times a -6 is a -6x. I'm just going to move this down. That 3x squared minus 6x. And now I'm going to take the 3 and distribute that to all of my pieces. So 3 times 2, that's 6x squared. 3 times 3, that's 9x. 3 times a negative 6, that's a negative 18. I've distributed everything. Now I can do my categories. I've got my x cubed, my x squareds, my x's, and then my constants. So I start with the highest exponent there. 3 and 6, that gives me 9x squared. A negative 6 and a positive 9, that gives me a positive 3x minus 18. And then even more, so it's just getting more and more complicated here. But every time we get a more complicated multiplication, just remember it comes back down to distribution. Distribute everything that we know. When I have 2 binomials, the key is you need to concentrate on, or when I have 3 binomials, I need to concentrate on 2 at a time. So I'm just going to look at these first 2. Distribute. 2x times 7x is 14x squared minus 2x. And then I distribute the 3, giving me 21x minus 3. I combine those like terms together to get 14x squared plus 19x minus 3. So this is the result of multiplying these first 2 binomials together. Now I've got to multiply by 4x plus 9. And again, it's just about distributing. So I distribute 14x squared times 4x to give us 56x cubed. 14x times 9, that's 126x squared. Then I distribute the 19. 19x times 4x, that's 76x squared. 19 times 9, that's 171x. And then I distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 times 4, that's a negative 12x minus 27. Now all of our like terms, so we've got cubes, we've got squares, we've got x's, and our constant. So we've got 56x cubed, 126 plus 76, that gives us 202x squared. 171 minus 12, that's 159x minus 27. Okay, only one more left. You may be thinking after the last one, when I have 3 binomials, what is this going to look like? We have 2 trinomials. This one is actually not as bad as the first one. So we distribute our 4x squared to all 3 pieces on the right, giving us 28x to the 4th. You may want to write a little bit smaller than what I just wrote. 4 times negative 12 is 4 times negative 3, negative 12x cubed. My brain was thinking ahead. 4x squared times 1, that is 4x squared. Then I distribute the 2. That gives us 14x cubed minus 6x squared plus 2x. And then last, I distribute the negative 1. So that gives us a negative 7x squared, a positive 3x, and a negative 1. Like terms, so we've got our 4th degree, our 3rd degree, our squareds, our constant, or not, our x's, and then last our constant. So we combine those like terms. We start with 28x to the 4th, a negative 12, negative 12 and a positive 14. That gives us a positive 2x cubed. 4 minus 6, that's negative 2, minus 7, that's a negative 9x squared. We have 2 and 3 to get 5x, and then our constant of negative 1. All right, so see, that wasn't as bad. There are our polynomial operations.